very dense. And just very briefly, it's intended to illustrate this disparity between Dali as a surrealist and Dali as what he called a classicist. In 1939, he was expelled from the surrealist movement, and in 1941, he announced that his surrealist glory had been worthless and that now he was going to be henceforth a classic painter. He described his work in 1941 as a complete break from the anarchy of the surrealist picture. And part of what's important in this gallery, I think, is really looking at some of the continuities between what he was doing in the 30s, some of the pieces that people may know better, some of the hallmarks of his technique, and pieces executed much later. So we have a couple pieces here, actually from the mid-1920s. This is when Dali was an art student in Madrid, and he was an academically trained artist. He had gone to art school in Madrid. He had studied the old masters. He had learned to copy the old masters. He was extremely influenced by Velázquez, Raphael, Vermeer, and the way that those great artists of art history, the canon, paint light, paint the world around them. He was always impressed with that photographic technique. And so there's a nice juxtaposition here, I think, between this painting from 1926, Figure from the Back, which is actually a portrait of his sister Anna Maria, where it still has a very old masterly quality. It's obviously copying the great artists that he admired. But just about 30 years later, in the 1950s, he's still very much influenced by Vermeer. He was actually asked by the collector Robert Lehman to do a copy of a Vermeer because Lehman had a collection of old master paintings but couldn't find a Vermeer he liked, so he asked Dali if Dali would make him a Vermeer. Which Dali will comply with just about anything if he'll pay him, and that's funny. So he made him a lovely copy of Vermeer's Lace Maker, which is the original's in the Louvre. He also did his own interpretation of the Lace Maker, where it's made out of swirling rhinoceros horns. Rhinoceros horns become a very prevalent motif, as you'll notice through future galleries. They become a very, they're a religious symbol for him, they're a mathematical symbol for him, but they're very prevalent throughout. But still, just looking at the continuity of technique and style from even the 1920s through the 1950s. Also, just on the wall that you have behind you, right in the center, we have one of Dali's very typical double image canvases. That's called a transparent simulacrum of the famed